Hello you lovely people. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. My name's Kirsten and today we have a flip through the finished FieldNote. Well, it's not finished. Come back to that in a second. This journal has been made using TracieFox Creative FieldNote Scraps Set Kit and FieldNote Trifold Folio Kit. Both those kits are linked down below and they are fabulous kits. I use the Trifold. The scraps is just pages. I use the Trifold as ephemera for the scraps note kit. There's also in here a little place for the FieldNote zine, which is a freebie that Tracie is offering on her Facebook group. It's an August challenge, August 2025, if you're watching this in years to come, and but it might still be available, so go and check out these links that are down below about it, because you might still be able to get that freebie. It's 2 weeks in when I'm filming this, so I don't have the completed zine in here. I'm going to start using this journal myself almost straight away, and I will complete the zine as part of that. Tracie's introduction video is linked down below, and you'll find the details of where to go and get the zine in that, and then the following videos. Tracie's got some stamps coming out which I'm going to use in this kit. I was thinking about waiting until I received the stamps before I film this flip through, but I'm going to use them as I fill up this journal. And I will do another flip through when I've kind of used the journal a bit. I might not finish using the journal, but when I've used it a bit and the zine's finished and I've used some of the stamps, I'll do another wee flip through at that stage. This has ended up a bit of a chunky monkey, but there's a couple of reasons for that, and one of the reasons, something that's in it, I might actually end up dealing with in a slightly different way, and I'll come to that later on. I've really enjoyed making this journal. This is the size of journal I like, because this is the size of journal I tend to use. I do like bigger journals as well, but this is the size of journal I tend to use myself. So when I make one of these, I'm so glad this is for me. Somebody commented about, well, a couple of people commented about the fact that I do my flip throughs very quickly. I'm sorry if you feel I do, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and do this one slowly. And if you prefer a faster flip through, please use your button up there or down here to adjust your speed. You can go up and down. Last time I was doing this frontage piece, and I've now stuck it all down. I've kind of given this idea that there's a last label still tucked behind there. I ended up digging out one of the kind of bronzier leaves to go on the front here, but apart from that, this is very much how you saw it before it was stuck down. And I do really like this. Although we made a bit of a boo-boo with this, I do really like how it turned out in the end. I've stitched round, and because there wasn't a lot of fabric over, because I didn't want it ending up too bulky, I've done a straight stitch the whole way round, just near, and then I've done 2 more rounds of more organic stitching, just to kind of have a wobbly line. We'll come to this later. Originally I was going to do a soft cover journal, but when this plate was just slightly too large for how much stuff I ended up doing. So what I did was I've put a inside cover. I've also backed onto a board an inside back cover as well. I did consider only doing it to the inside front cover, but then I decided that the inside back cover might end up just being a bit too soft. So this has ended up a firmer journal than I had originally anticipated, but that's okay. That's okay. The base of it is actually an Amazon packaging paper bag. So we still got the soft spine, but the front and the back are now hard, although you've still got the fabric on the, and this fabric you can feel the crinkle. I can actually make it crinkle a bit, which is one of the things I love about the soft ones. Let's get in. So I've used this bit of seam binding. This was a bit of seam. It's not a seam binding. This was a bit of seam in a bit of fabric that I had dyed. I don't know if you can see, there was all kinds of marks on it, so I dyed it, and I stamped. I love stamping on fabric I've dyed, because it tends to be 100% cotton or linen is what I dye with. I never even try to dye anything else, not even 50-50. And that I'll still end up using that. You've seen bits of this before. I've stamped this on red and used it for a previous journal, and you've seen bits of that before. So that's something I do tend to do. And this is the plate that's in the front cover. We've got a couple of bits of something or other on there. Let's put I brought a couple of bits of my tabs. I decided that I was putting them all at the top, because if I did 1, 2, 3, it looked very sparse. If I did 1, 2, 3, it looked like I hadn't finished. So I decided I was going to put all my tabs at the top. We have this envelope that comes from the kit. This is full-size envelope. I printed the kit half 2 to a page, but this was printed full size, so that I end up having an envelope that would fit in here for a pocket. And then this is the zine, and I haven't put anything on any more images. I've stuck my date plate on. I could write in the back of that as well. I haven't put anything on any of these images. In my pockets I've put one of the little photographs. That's a half-size one. And one of the little for notes, and I've done that in most of the, I've not done it in that pocket, and in there, and in this one we've got another of the bigger photographs, and we've got more in that pocket and more in that back pocket. There's also these flowers. Where are they? And there's bigger frames in this zine. This is week 2 when you get the bigger the frames. You also get these little like seed envelopes as well, coin envelopes. I cut the V in them. They're not marked on it, so you've got and that's full size. It's half size what I've done in there, just because that's what I did, because I've printed loads of them out, because I think I'm going to get a lot of use out. In fact, I might do, if I haven't already, if yesterday you didn't already see a 10-minute challenge or 3 in 30-minute challenge, then I'm going to do one using these frames, I think. But let's get back to this. So that's the zine, and that's in that wee front pocket. I've got plenty of writing space here. This is one of the tall pockets from the Folio kit, and this is the Edith Holden page that I was using, that doesn't come from the diary itself. It came from some other kind of book, but it's Edith Holden. And that's one of the catkins, and the butterfly I've cut out and just put on this to create a tall tag for here. Lots of this I've not put anything in. I've put little bits of decoration on some of the pages, but it's jam-packed enough without me putting things, and actually I can write on that, so that's quite good. This is a little offcut with some leaves stamped on it, and just some of the other offcut bits that were left over, making it into a little bookie. I ended up using some of this ribbon for a tie on here. I forgot I'd done it in two things, and I've only pulled one of them. There we go. So that's what it looks like inside, but actually this is another book that I forgot to tell you about. I've tea dyed these pages. This is a book of papers. Have I got any of them here? Yeah, here's one, for example. It's a book for, it's called the Journaling, Gardener's Journal book or something, and it has these wee bits on it, and sometimes it's got little watercolour images on it, and all this space just for writing about your garden. But I've tea dyed this, and this was one of the wee poems that I quite liked, and I've stamped a butterfly on top of it. These butterflies in twos and threes that flit around the wind and sun, see how they add their flowers to flowers and blossom where the plant has none. And that's just so that there's some writing space there. But if I tie this back up again, I don't actually need, oops, lost one of them. I can actually slip this in and out without having to untie it. So I probably won't untie it again. And then I just decided not to do anything at all with this centre spread because it's just such a lovely painting. There's a bit of the honesty I was going to add. That's because it's on the front page. This is another one of the big tags, and I've just used a bit of fabric. This fabric I've used in the thing again, and I stamped some ivy up it, and I've just used this as a flap so I can write in the back there. A wee cluster using a feather. This is the double-sided, and this is one way you can use that. You can take it over the edge of your page, and we've got the wrong way round. We've got the tag in there, and then this side we've got another of the tags from that Edith Holden page with a bit of stamping and a little flap on the top. And all this writing space, This is one of the belly bands I did in a 3 for 30, and this is another bit from that book, just another bit of writing space with a bit of lavender on that one. I'll go and get the book and show you the book at the end. So that's the first signature finished. On to signature number 2, and the envelope. Love this envelope. This was a bit of the paper left over from these pages when I trimmed these pages, and the fact it's got this pretty wee pattern on it and the holes and things on, and I've just paper clipped that on. But what I've done is I've slit the envelope and paper clipped in there. I can't remember if I showed you me doing that or not. And we've also got this bit stuck on there, and this bit stuck, so we've got a bit of so it gives that layered look, but this is the only bit that's actually loose and could be written on. And inside this pocket we've just got, this is from the front of this book. There's a postcard that they stick on the front, and that's from this book. Now let's just take one of these out. if you've ever got your Creative Studio, you probably got one of these wee pads, and I've still got loads of them left. They actually have 3 little images down the bottom as well, and I've just stamped on that and tea-dyed that a bit and put it in a pocket, which is a scrap of the paper stamp. That's one of Tracie's stamps there, and those stamps are no longer available because of Creative Studio going sideways. I need to put this one under here. This was one of the wee clusters I made, and I just thought actually I'm going to use it just as I've used this one as a wee tuck spot. Somewhere else I've used it, I have stuck it just down as decoration, and this has just got another one. It's got another one of those bits in. That's a bit soon after each other, isn't it? Maybe I need to change that. Things might get moved around as I use it anyway. Here is another of these over the page ones, and I've just put a little bit of lace as a tab on top of there. I've not necessarily tabbed all of these because you can easily pull them out, and I was trying to stop the bulk. This is another wee one I made just with a scrap of paper and some stamping. In fact, that's packaging paper. That's how scrappy paper that one is, but I love that little tag. And this is just a stuffless bit on the back bit of this. Was a bit that I didn't particularly want to be kept, so that's one of the bits stuck on there. You saw me make these in one of my 5-minute makes with its little tag. I've actually got it in back to front, haven't I? Because you really want to be seeing the bit that took all the work, which was making the window for that. Here's one of the belly bands, and this is another bit of that book, and this one was a kind of bigger bit, and another bit of poetry with poppy on. And there's this other, and this time I decided just to wrap a label round, just because I just decided I didn't want to leave all these centre pages with nothing, as if they were, and I might end up, I don't know, we'll see. Little bit of collage here, little bit of collage here. This is a die cut. If you want to know the details, ask below and I'll dig them out for you. Another this is just a scrap of paper. I've stamped a wee bit on it, but that pulls down. You've got all that at the back to write on. You could write on bits of this on the front. Just use some tape to kind of, it's glued down as well, but just to kind of look like it's been taped in the page. Another tag in a wee pocket made from some scrap. Another little cluster arrangement just to cover up this writing. And that's the second. Let's move on to the final one. Let's just put my, now this one takes a little more. I'm going to come back to the envelope at the end. A little bit of material with some stamping on again, and this is a little clip of kind of hidden paper clip I've made with Edith Holden bird was on that page, and then I've used Edith Holden, taken some paper, I used one of the images here, done some stamping, and also made a little card inside here, and then made a little card inside, a little bit of paper, that is a little scrap of paper, so that can be written on, the back of that can be written on, other things could be put in there, the back of that can be written on, so lots of space, and then it can just be tucked up in that hidden paper clip. And the hidden paper clip is being put on the flap of this envelope, and I've just got a bit, that's the other bit of the print, the twin lock paper from here. Another little cluster. We've made a pocket out of the fabric this time, so I've stuck the fabric on a bit of paper. Again, I've stamped an image on it, and at this time round I've used a stapleless staple to gather together these papers and just then put a bit of that. This ribbon isn't holding this together. This is a stapleless staple, and what it does is you put your paper in, it punches through that and feeds it through a slit that's made so that bit of paper there was initially in this bit here. So that's just for decoration, that isn't actually holding it together. And another one of the going over the, this is another using some die cuts and some paper, and I used one of the tabs that was a bigger tab, just on that one. Love that tag, love that tag. And then this is a tag there. Used quite a bit of this, as you can see, just I felt it suited the theme. This is just paper clipped on here, just with a bit of material, a bit of sari silk, just paper clipping that on. That can be written on the back of. We've got this one, this is another of the book tabs, but I've used it to indicate that this is a flip out. More writing space down there. We've got another little sample cards with its little card in the top. Vinyl belly band, and I made the wee poppy notebook, and I've just used, I think you'll be able to see that, I've just used some gel pens just to highlight those poppies. This has just got a bit of scrap paper in, trees stamped on it, and there's the last bit of the honesty. And then on this back page there is the back plate. I've used ball and chain so that I can take this off. Whoops, hold on. I used to love these as a child. Take these off, and then this, it becomes, that's got blotting paper on it, so if I ever needed to blot something, I've got blotting paper. But this also becomes a writing board, so that, because it is such a chunky monkey, so that I can write on. Now I know you can't always get right in the corner with these, but see, when you've got things like this, it becomes very difficult. Now one of the reasons this is a chunky monkey is because of, and that's just one of the images I had, I think it's on the front cover, but I had 2 copies of that. No, it's not. Don't know why I had 2 copies. Oh, that's because that's a full size page that I printed in error. Yes, so this third signature envelope has this in it, and this is one of the reasons why it's a chunky monkey, because that's quite thick in itself. So I'm thinking that I might do something slightly different with it other than put it in that envelope. And this is a little decoration, a little bit of material, a little leaf, and this is a bit of elastic, and this is, I think this is maybe part of this board actually. And there's another one here, and I've made a fabric hinge, and I've made the fabric hinge purposefully tight because I've filled this up with blotting paper so that you can take this out with you, and if you suddenly think, oh, I want that flower, or I would like to press that leaf, you can take it, you can put it in here, you can hold this together. It's tight, but it's not as tight as you need to press, but it means that you're starting the pressing process, and then when you get it home you've got all your bits already in there. Also means that if you forget where you've put your bits, which I time and time I keep on opening books and discovering pressed flowers and that I'd forgotten I'd put in there at all. So it means you know where, and this is just, I just felt this was a nice handy size. However, it has made this very bulky. So I'm now contemplating, though I haven't yet decided, that that one goes on that side, and that I might stick another, I mean, it's going to be I'll need to get see, I can't put it the whole way through because then it won't open. And if I don't put it the whole way through, then how am I going to get the chain through it? So I'm trying to think if there's some way I can. I did think about, just bear with me a second, because I did think about doing this and putting this through here, then putting, right, hold on, I need to make sure that's right, that's that side. So that needs to be, the clip then needs to be on the outside, so then put the clip through there, and you can see that that one was only just, it's just caught over, and put that through there, link this back up, and then, oh, I've put that on the wrong way. It needs to be the other way around, so it's that. Now I've got that sorted. And then you see clipping this on the back. Probably needs to be clipped over like something like that. It will hang a bit, but you see, I can't help thinking that's maybe a better idea, because it just stops it being quite so chunky. I'll need to see how we get on with it like that. I've then got an envelope inside that I need something for, but that's fine, because once things are pressed they can go in the envelope. I'm not planning really on adding any more bulk to this journal. It's mainly going to be, I'm saying that knowing what I'm like, I probably will, because I'll start decorating pages, but I'm mainly thinking this is going to be written on, maybe. We'll see. But I do quite like that idea, because it also means you've got a clip to help hold that shut. I don't know. I could add the clip somewhere else. I could. Does it need to even be on there? I could take this off. I think I'd rather have it at the top of the page, actually. You see, and then it is more the correct kind of, I mean, it's still gonna, just because of the nature of it. But right, okay, I've fussed about with that enough. That is my journal. All the details of the kits are below. It's a lovely kit. I mean, it really is, and it's very versatile. Thank you so much for watching. You take care. Bye for now. Keep crafting.